Congratulations, my young squidlet. You finally picked up your first motorcycle, or maybe you just traded up from your little Ninja 250 to something more appropriate like a Turbo Hayabusa. Either way, your adventure on two wheels has begun, and if it hasn't, we've made like a million videos on how to get started, so check those out first. But now that you're on two wheels, you might be thinking about a few modifications you might want to make to your motorcycle because you, like every other motorcyclist on the planet, can't leave well enough alone. You know better than the team of engineers and all those R&D dollars, you're gonna make your bike better. You're probably thinking about the usual exhaust mods, maybe a new seat, new levers, or maybe a stretch and a turbo kit if you're a big brain boy, but those aren't the mods we're gonna be talking about today. No, we're talking about some of the dumbest, most meaningless, tacky, or even unsafe mods you can make to your bike. You might think they look cool, but these are the kinds of mods that will elicit nothing more than a weary sigh from experienced riders at best and might cause your bike to fall apart or part company with asphalt at worst. If I catch one of you out there making one of these mods to your bike, I will personally reach through this YouTube video and slap you right in the rosy cheek. Papa Yams doesn't want to do that. Our relationship has been so good lately, so bust out a pen and paper and take good notes. But first, I'd like to take a moment to talk to you about your nuts. You see, the holidays are upon us, and you might have some company over, and you can't put out peanuts as hors d'oeuvres. You need to switch to a more classy nut mix like cashews or walnuts. Wait a minute, that's the wrong script. Let me see here. Here we go. You see, the holidays are upon us, and you might have some company over, and you don't want to have a massive, ungainly pube forest in your pants. That's just nasty. Thankfully, Manscaped dropped their performance package that has just what you need to get yourself looking presentable and keep you from looking like a bear who thinks he's a person. That sentient bear, back at it again. They've got the tried and true Lawnmower 3.0, an unkillable torque monster of a ball shaver. It is the Busa of ball shavers. You literally cannot kill it. I don't recommend turbocharging it though. But they also have the Weed Whacker for trimming all your scraggly ear and nose hairs, and the Shears 2.0 to trim your nails just right. It's also got ball deodorant, soaps, and other lovely fragrances to keep you smelling like a rose. If you click the link down below and pick up the performance package, you'll also get 2 free gifts: the Shed travel bag to hold all those goodies, and a pair of the anti-chafing boxers to lovingly cradle your junk all day long. Click the link down below and use the code Yammie for 20% off your order and free shipping. Support those who support us. 20% off with code Yammie for the Turbo Busa of ball shavers. Now, number 7 on today's list of the dumbest new mods where you can make to your motorcycle is taking off your stock exhaust can. Now, I can understand where you're coming from with this one. You picked up a brand new R3 and drained your bank account in the process. You wanted a good looking slip-on for your bike, but they were like $300 for a cheap one, and a full system is like $1,000. You saw some YouTube video of a guy just unbolting the stock muffler, and it basically sounded the same as a slip-on. It ran okay. Well, if you do this, you might as well put a giant "Hello, I am a noob" flag on the back of your bike. It is true that a lot of modern bikes with big bread boxes don't need the muffler for performance, and a lot of the muffling is done by the catalytic converter. But your bike looks like it's unfinished with just an empty tube sticking out of the bottom of the bike. It might not be ear-splittingly loud like an open header, but it's gonna sound like trash. Because believe it or not, even the slip-ons for beginner bikes have sound engineering that goes into them to help the bike not sound like it's broken. If you want my honest advice, skip the slip-on for your very first motorcycle. It doesn't add value for a trade-in, and it's not gonna enhance your experience enough to justify the price of entry. Just save the money for a nice pipe for your second bike. And for the love of Rossi and all things holy, do not buy an M4 or a Tosei pipe or Toch, I don't know how that's pronounced. There's no quicker way to broadcast to the entire world that you're a giant squid who wants to run from the cops on your clapped out Gixxer 750 than getting one of those. Number 6, it's cheap Amazon colored parts. This includes levers, grips, bar ends, foot pegs, mirrors, tassels, truck nuts, basically anything that costs around the $20 to $40 mark. You should avoid it like the plague. You might think that getting a set of controls that match your motorcycle's color scheme is neat, but it's really not. Only giant KTM simps cover their motorcycles in anodized orange parts, but they get a pass because they sold their souls to the harness pure Kyle energy and literally only bleed orange now. If you're not on a KTM, just stick with the stock levers. There are a time and place for the cheap levers though. If you low-sided your motorcycle, or maybe you dropped it in a parking lot, they will make a decent enough stand-in for stock levers, or maybe on a track mule while you wait for the replacement from the factory, but you should never intend to keep them on your bike permanently. Now, I'm sure you're sitting there wondering why. Well, aside from being painfully tacky and cringe-inducing, those levers are meant to be a universal fit, which means it fits everything okay, but not well. You'll also have a lot more slop in the lever that you can adjust out to make mistakes made in the manufacturing process. Are they dangerous? No, not really. They just will never feel quite right. If you want to go down the road of colored levers, at least do yourself a favor and get some good ones. Number 5, stickers, decals, rim tape, and fake carbon fiber. This is one I see a lot of. You might drop your bike and not crack your plastics, but usually they get scuffed and new fairings cost an arm and a leg. Instead of getting new plastics or buying paint pens to fix the damage, a noob runs out and gets some stickers to put over the damaged area. You might not drop the bike again, but once you put one of the stickers on your bike, it's only a matter of time until it's completely covered in stickers. 1 or 2 actually meaningful stickers or decals might look cool and add a pop of color. 1,000 stickers and you start to look like some stunt squid or like Spite when he rides his DRZ. The same goes for rim tape. A small decal on your wheel might look cool as you're riding along. KTM and Husqvarna put little decals on the rims, but a shoddily slapped on red ring on your rim just looks bad. It's not going to increase your visibility at night, it's just going to increase the amount of crap you're going to have to take from other riders. The ultimate sin is carbon fiber fake wrapping. No, it doesn't look cool. It's not going to fool anyone to thinking that a GSX 250R is a nicer bike. You just look like a noob with no taste. We all know that the only acceptable wrap you can put on a motorcycle is ahegao. We all know that's the only true test of taste, and only an unenlightened Philistine thinks it's stupid. Number 4, Plasti Dip. This is similar to decals and wraps, but it's used more commonly in a reversible way to change your motorcycle's color. If you've never heard of it, then you probably didn't own a car in high school, but essentially it is what a spray-on coat of colored plastic that hardens into a peelable layer on top of your factory paint. People use it to black out emblems on their cars or bikes or cover mismatched bolt heads, but in most severe cases, people Plasti Dip an entire motorcycle, usually black. This 100% signals to the other riders around you that you're a complete noob who dropped their bike or made some half-assed attempt to stealthing out their motorcycle. Here's the thing, if you don't like the color of your motorcycle, you probably shouldn't have bought it in the first place. I hear a lot of people talking about how they found some super good deal on a sport bike, but it's the wrong color, but it's totally cool because I know a dude at the paint shop and he'll hook me up. Doing a proper job of painting a motorcycle takes a ton of skill and a very long time. There's countless layers of primer, colors, and clear coats. If you don't have the patience or the pocketbook to bankroll it, just save the money and buy a motorcycle in the color you actually like. Now, while we're on the subject of half-assing things, number 3 is a half-assed build. This most commonly occurs in sport bikes that have been low-sided and completely mangled fairings or smashed up headlights. Usually it's guys that don't want to deal with their insurance rates going up from an accident, so they try to trailer their bike back to their house and start hacking stuff left, right, and center, trying to turn it into some sort of naked bike. The thing about this is manufacturers actually put a lot of effort into hiding wires, hoses, or various fluid tanks on a naked bike because they know that someone is not going to be looking right at the engine all the time. On a sport bike, that's not the case, and those tanks and hoses are usually right under the fairings in the least well-hidden spot imaginable because they were meant to be covered up by plastic. 100% of the time, people who try to street fight or a sport bike end up rattle canning the whole thing black, putting a single round headlight and handlebars on the bike, and posting it on Craigslist with the caption, "Great bike, runs great, never dropped, adult owned, 7,000 OBO, no low balls, I know what I got." As an anecdote, the Ducati Panigale V2 we are giving away right now, we recently put a clear clutch cover on it, and when we took off the fairings, we were shocked to see all the crazy wiring that was tucked away behind the fairings. Manufacturers do this. Number 2, tires. I see a lot of people underestimating the importance of tires on a motorcycle. Oftentimes a noob will run out and get the cheapest set of tires they can possibly afford just because they want to save a penny. That, or they put crazy aggressive super sport tires on a bike where it makes no sense because they quote unquote ride hard. If you're looking into replacing your tires, really take the time to ask yourself, what kind of riding do I actually do? If you're on a sport bike that sees a lot of track time, then your super sport rubber actually makes sense. But if you're just cruising down your favorite back roads, then you're more likely going to be better served by a set of sport touring rubber. Now, don't let the name confuse you. Sport touring tires perform just fine in basically every street scenario, and they're going to last for thousands of miles longer than a sport bike tire would. Also, never buy a used tire. Seriously, I've seen people talking about how much money they save by picking up a slightly used set of rubber, but you can never tell how old that tire really is, if it was installed properly, if it sat on the bike in the same place for a year and now has a flat spot in it or something like that. Just get new rubber, it'll feel better and last longer. Now, the number one dumbest thing that a noob rider does to their motorcycle that we see here on Yammie Noob is try to increase their horsepower through mods like fuel tuners, airbox, full exhaust systems, or gearing changes. Look, it's time for Papa Yams to get real with you. You are never, ever going to get significant increases in power out of your 300 or 400cc and suddenly make it keep up with bigger bikes. If you do everything right, you might pick up 4 or 5 horsepower if you're extremely lucky and your bike is perfectly tuned and the weather is nice and the stars align and Rossi smiles upon you, but otherwise you're basically just going to get 1 or 2 ponies and waste thousands of dollars and hours of your life when you could have just gotten a faster bike if that's what you wanted. Look, there's nothing wrong with changing your sprockets to make it a little bit punchier off the line, but remember there's always going to come at a cost of top speed. Tuning is all well and good, but it's a pretty hard limit on what you can get out of little bikes. Never go in thinking you're going to turn your R3 into some sort of sleeper machine, because it's just not ever gonna get there. Fact. There actually aren't 57 varieties of Heinz ketchup, and there never were. Company founder H.J. Heinz thought his product should have a number, and he liked 57. Goodbye.
Bummer for you, my little squid. This video is actually over, but lucky for you, there's plenty of other Yammie videos you can check out right over here. What's gonna happen to them? I don't know. I haven't seen them, but you can watch them right now.